Hello, bearded bee people. Welcome back to B&K Bees. Today I'm going to talk about a very commonly asked question, and that is, how often should I be getting into my hive? The answer to that varies, as most answers in beekeeping do. It varies on the current status of your hive, the overall size of your hive, the overall size of the vacancy your hive is occupying, the time of year, and what type of food is available to them. But if I had to put it into a definitive one-line answer, I would say at least every 2 weeks. Now, in a particular instance or a particular part of the year, that might be far too infrequent, and then in another case that might be a little bit more than you'd need. But you're going to have to try to figure out what the current situation is. How much nectar is coming in, how much drawn comb do they have that isn't currently being occupied, how much capped brood is there, and therefore during the interim period how many bees are going to emerge, how much fuller is that box going to be in the interim period between inspections. So try to weigh all of those things. But if you're a very, very green beekeeper and you need a black and white answer, I would say at least every 2 weeks. Now, I know for most beekeepers, and I'm going to talk while I go through this swarm box. You might have seen the video of me catching this. So if you're a new beekeeper, you're probably constantly wondering about what's going on with your bees. And maybe you're anxious about it, and maybe you just cannot wait until you get into your hive again. I think most beginning beekeepers would agree that was true, and it was for me for sure. I remember I wanted very badly to achieve 7 hives so that I could get into 1 per day. My answer to you in that situation is get into your bees more frequently than you have been. Get into them almost any time you feel like it. And the reason that I say that is because there are learning opportunities aplenty for a first-year beekeeper. And getting into your bees once a month or however much a lot of people would recommend is not enough. You're not going to learn enough. And the overall goal for that first year as a beekeeper is not only to have a successful hive and keep them alive, but is also to learn and to start understanding intimately the practice of keeping bees. So I say get into them often, get into them very often. You are going to set them back, but you are going to learn a lot, and the amount that you set them back is most likely not going to be the difference between them surviving or dying. And so I'm not saying getting into them every day, but get into them, at least once a week. Get into them when your curiosity is too much to ignore. Get into them if you're worried about what's going on. Get into them, practice finding your queen, and make sure that you can identify every aspect of everything you're seeing. Look analytically at each frame. Make each inspection not only a process for the bees, but an educational experience for you as a beginning beekeeper. See that big queen right there? Beautiful. Eggs and young larvae all over the place. So, yes, you might set them back to some extent. People have those statements about, oh, each time you crack the lid, it sets them back however many days. I think that's foolish. It does set them back to the extent that they drink a lot of honey during that period, especially if you're smoking them, and you break seals that they have to repair. But the amount that you're going to set them back, in my mind, does not outweigh the benefit of having learned more throughout your first year beekeeping than you would have if you'd been getting into them less frequently. You see a medium frame and a deep box. Looks pretty good. Alright, so I was just checking to see if these were going to swarm while I was gone. I'm leaving for the weekend. I don't think they're going to swarm. They might though. I've had some weird nuke swarms this year. This was one of them to start its life out. So, all right, let's get back on track. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to have problems with me saying that, but about getting into your bees as often as you feel like it. But that's the way it is. I think the unfortunate aspect is more first-year beekeepers lose their bees in the first year than don't. And if that statistic is going to stay the same, then I think we should make it a goal to learn more throughout that pivotal first year. Of course, I wholeheartedly think that we should be doing everything we can to keep those bees alive, and I think first-year beekeepers more than any other should pay particular attention to things that stress our bees in order to attempt to keep them alive. But being able to quickly identify a problem and quickly come up with a good solution to that problem is a great asset in any beekeeper, whether you have one hive or 100. That is something that only comes from practiced experience and research and fact finding, but more than anything, I believe, practiced experience. So, like I said, do everything you can to keep your bees alive. Make sure you pay attention to those really critical things like your mite count and food storage in fall, and paying attention to robbing and moisture control over winter. Make sure that you learn all you can about those things, and make sure that you get down to a science what you're going to do for your bees. Have that plan, and don't be caught unaware or by surprise by something. But get into your bees, play with your bees, have fun with your bees, and learn every single time. So that's my message to you. Take it how you will. Leave me your comments, I'm sure you will, and I appreciate every one of them. But most importantly, most importantly, get out there and have some fun with your bees. Thanks for watching. See ya.